Welcome back. On this week's episode of Where Canaries Walk, we are looking at the 8 remaining games for Norwich City and asking the question, is it all over, or what can be salvaged from this season? We're looking at the 4 home games and the 4 away games left for the Canaries. We're doing that, of course, with 2 of the hottest properties in Norwich Twitter in Oliver and Jacob, and we've got, of course, the fans of the year, Killian, and, of course, the incomparable Matthew Sokol, who does what he doesn't know about Norwich isn't worth knowing. Our team is ready. Thank you very much for joining us. Let's jump straight into it. Of course, coming up, we've also got some very angry tweets to look at from the Bristol City game as well. So we'll share some of those with you in a second. But Oliver, is it all over for you?
Yeah, I think it probably is. You know, I tried to keep optimism high after the game. I had like a night to sort of reflect, and then I just woke up and was like, yeah, it's probably over now. I mean, look, got to just back for it now and just trust the process for next year.
Trust the process. That's the phrase that is winding some fans up. Jacob, are you now? Well, you've always been quite kind of, it's not happening this year. Are you now firmly in that camp of it's all over?
Yeah, it's fair to say we're not getting playoffs, are we? Bristol City and Sheffield Wednesday should be looking at 6 points from both teams. Obviously, Bristol contending for playoffs. They've just shown why they're more serious in this than we are. So yeah, just enjoy what's left of the season and bring on the next one.
Okay, let's have a look at it then, shall we? Here we go. Killian, let's start with you, and let's look at some of these home games to come. Obviously, West Brom, who are right up there, Sunderland, who are all there, Portsmouth, who can't win away, and of course you finish at home to Cardiff, which probably Cardiff fans are hoping, as we've already spoken to them, that there's nothing left for you to play for at that point, so they can come and stay alive in the league. How many out of 12 do you think you're taking there?
I'd say 6.
Okay, where are they coming from?
I would say Portsmouth and Cardiff. Yeah.
Okay. Matty, let's give you the away trips. Still got to go to Plymouth. Still got to travel to Burnley and Millwall, and then your favourite place of all, Middlesbrough, on the last away trip. What do you reckon's happening in those 4?
Yeah, I'm doing all. I'm still a bit hoarse from Friday. I apologise. I've just realised. Barely spoke to anyone Saturday and Sunday. I'm going to all of. Actually, I'm not going to Burn anymore. But I don't know what to expect anymore, Mark. In terms of where we'll fit, we should beat Plymouth. We should beat Millwall. My biggest concern is that every one of these teams, actually, apart from probably Millwall, there's a possibility that they've got something to play for, whether it's top 3 or top 6 or just staying in the division. And I don't think Hoftorp's the type of manager to let anyone, the old saying of players being on the beach. I don't think he's the type that'll let anyone get away with that. But my concern is that there's those fixtures there, and there's a good chance that, we get rolled over by a couple of them.
Cheers for that, all of you. We asked AI to predict where Norwich would finish this season based on what's happened so far. It did say finish 10th, 65 points, which is 7 points outside the playoff. Oliver, would you take that right now? Or?
Yeah, it seems about reasonable. I mean, obviously disappointing not to be higher up, but I mean, I think that's a pretty decent prediction. And right now, I think that's pretty solid for us. So yeah, I would take that. Yeah.
I had a go at it myself using worldfootball.net, and I did do this after the Sheffield Wednesday game. Sorry, so I was a little bit more down on you than AI was, but I had you in 12th on 61. Jacob, I'm guessing you wouldn't take that.
I mean, it's not that bad, not good, but it's kind of where we are right now. So I guess we'll just have to take it and move on because we're not getting playoffs, we're not going down. So mid-table is just where we need to be.
Yeah, you're taking Bristol City's spot, of course, as well. Let's just jump back in time, though, a little bit. The Sheffield Wednesday game, Killian, was all going very well for you. Two to the good, playing reasonably well. What on earth happened?
We just didn't show up. I think we got stuck on the A47 for the second half. It was unreal how 2 halves of football could be so different. And I think it was almost similar in Bristol. I think we played the opposite way, though. We played pretty well in the second half. So who knows what happened, to be honest.
Matty, Norwich lead the division in terms of shots on target and all-round shots. So you can read into that. It's defensively, you're looking at shambles at the moment. I mean, your mate, the goalkeeper, was coming in for a stick, as we'll see again in a second, and Sorensen as well. People were hammering him online, but is it collectively defensively, or is it individually making mistakes?
No, well, I mean, Cordoba's at fault for their second. The first one, they can't really do much. We can't do much about. It's a great goal on Friday night. I think it's a bit of inexperience, a bit of naivety. There's obviously some younger players or some less experienced players in the league that have come in, and that takes time. We've got to give them time, but they are going to make mistakes. We're the second highest scorers in the league. So as you say, going forward, there's no issue whatsoever. But defensively, hopefully we can sort that out and we can be a lot tighter next season.
The stats from the game were mad, Oliver. Expected XG from that Bristol City game, 2.29. 5 big chances, and 20 shots on target. So you didn't play badly, did you?
No, I think it just took us a bit of time. Like you said, second half we kind of really sort of started to get going, but just couldn't put the ball in there. There was a chance where I was there for actually. It was like 6 yards out, and he just absolutely blazed it over, and it was just like, I don't think we would have scored in a month of Sundays, to be honest. But yeah, it wasn't a bad performance. It was much better than Sheffield Wednesday. So I think take a positive to the next game.
Okay. Jacob, this was a tweet. Ben Napper, you've got one job to do tonight. Poor George. I didn't think he was at fault for the goal, Jacob.
To be fair, he did pull off that good save in the first half, so I'll give him that, something which you never see. But I don't think he was that bad. But you know what our fans like regarding George Long. Any goal that goes in, typically he's scapegoated. But he wasn't the worst player on the pitch, really not. But he's got to move on.
Okay. There's a genuine question asked here, Killian, online, which I'll post to you here. Dave says, genuine question: was it a mistake to sack Wagner? We were 6th last season, mid-table this. There were lots of responses to that, but I wanted to get yours.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, I think his style of football. yes, we got pretty close, but he had a lot of older players. You got to remember we've revamped the whole squad, or most of the squad, and obviously there is, as Matty said, a bit of naivety there. But that's the future we have to build. And I believe in what we're doing, building, and there's going to be some painful days and nights before we wrap up the season. But I don't think we would have got anywhere if we kept some of those older players.
Matty, one of the responses that was from Ben, who said, nope. JHT lost Sarah and Ida, then Rowe and Kamara decided to have a hissy fit and force themselves out of the club. All players he wanted to use for his style of football. Bear in mind that was 90% of the goals scored last season. We've had 2 major injury crises. JHT has had 0 luck. Is that fair?
Yeah, bang on. How many times has Hoftorp been able to put his preferred 11 out this season? I thought about this earlier, and I'm struggling to think of any sort of. There might be one game, but I don't think there's been a couple or a few where we've put together this. We put out the same really our strongest 11. He's had bad injuries. There's obviously been a lot of issues with discipline as well with Sainson and McLean. But what's he to do? This is we always knew the season was going to be tricky. And when he's dealt the cards he is with the injuries and then a couple of suspensions, I haven't I'm not too critical of him. He's gonna make mistakes, and hopefully next year we learn from them and he, his coaching staff, and these younger naive players can kick on next year.
Okay. All right, West Brom up next then. No football to talk about, of course, next week, but please do join us because we are asking these guys to look ahead to the summer now and have a look at all the out-of-contract players and the loan players and decide what happens with them. So join us for that one. Thank you very much, you four. I'm sorry to ask you to talk about Norwich at a time when it's the last thing you definitely want to do. But hopefully we'll see you back here next week. And we'll see you too. Do drop us a subscribe if you're only just finding the channel. It's 20 minutes of Norwich chat every single week. See you then.